Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. You know how sometimes it feels like everyone's got a different opinion on what we should or shouldn't be eating?
Yeah.
Well, today we're going to be tackling one of the biggest food controversies out there.
Uh-huh.
Carbs.
Oh, yeah.
Are they friend or foe?
Right?
Should we be embracing them or avoiding them?
It's so confusing.
I know. It seems like every other week there's a new study or a new diet trend telling us to either load up on carbs or cut them out completely.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're going to try to get to the bottom of this whole carb conundrum.
Okay.
We're going to be looking at the latest scientific research
That sounds good.
and really digging into how carbs actually affect our bodies. So you're ready to finally understand what's up with carbs? Then stick around because this is going to be a really interesting deep dive.
I'm ready.
So to kick things off, let's talk about why carbs have become such a controversial topic in the first place.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with the popularity of low-carb diets,
Yeah, for sure.
like the ketogenic diet, which has really taken off in recent years.
Right, and you see people having amazing results with these diets.
Definitely.
So it's natural to think that maybe carbs are the problem.
Yeah, I get that.
But the thing is, our bodies actually need carbs to function properly.
Yeah, it's true.
They're our primary source of energy.
Especially for our brains.
Yes, our brains run on glucose, which is a type of sugar that comes from carbs.
Exactly. And when we don't get enough carbs, our brain can't function at its best.
You know, I actually experienced this firsthand a while back.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was on a hiking trip and I was trying to eat really healthy. So I cut way back on carbs.
Okay.
And I ended up feeling completely drained and exhausted halfway through the hike.
I bet.
I just didn't have the energy I needed.
Hmm.
And it was all because I wasn't eating enough carbs.
Yeah, it's amazing how much our energy levels can be affected by our carb intake.
So that's why it's so important to understand that not all carbs are created equal.
Right. There's a big difference between refined carbs and complex carbs.
Okay, so let's break that down.
Sure.
What's the difference between refined and complex carbs?
So refined carbs are basically carbs that have been stripped of their nutrients and fiber.
Like white bread and sugary drinks.
Exactly. Those are the ones that can cause our blood sugar to spike.
And that can lead to all sorts of problems, right?
Yeah, it can make us feel tired and sluggish. It can contribute to weight gain. And over time, it can even increase our risk of developing chronic diseases like type 2 diabetes.
Got it. So we want to avoid those refined carbs as much as possible.
Yes, definitely.
But what about complex carbs?
Complex carbs, on the other hand, are full of nutrients and fiber.
So things like fruits, vegetables, whole grains.
Exactly. Those are the good guys.
And why are they so good for us?
Well, for one thing, fiber helps to slow down the absorption of sugar into our bloodstream.
So we don't get those crazy blood sugar spikes,
Right. And it also helps to keep us feeling full and satisfied after we eat.
which can help with weight management.
Exactly.
And you know what's interesting? I've heard that fiber can actually help us burn fat.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Really?
Yeah, so when we eat fiber, it helps to feed the good bacteria in our gut.
Oh, interesting.
And those good bacteria actually play a role in regulating our metabolism and helping us to burn fat.
Wow, so getting enough fiber is really important for overall health and weight management.
Absolutely.
You know, it's amazing how much we're learning about the role of fiber in our diet.
Yeah, it's really fascinating.
And it makes me think about how we often focus on cutting out certain foods or food groups.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe the key is to actually be adding in more of the good stuff,
I think you're right.
like more fiber-rich, complex carbs.
Exactly.
Imagine if you could get rid of stubborn fat and support weight loss in a simple and healthy way while you are at home. You can find out by visiting https://rebrand.lifesolutionweightloss or by clicking on the link in the description of this podcast. Now, I know some people might be thinking, okay, but what about fruit?
Yeah.
Isn't fruit full of sugar?
Well, yes, fruit does contain sugar, but it's natural sugar, and it's packaged with fiber.
So it's not the same as the refined sugar we find in processed foods.
Exactly. The fiber in fruit helps to slow down the absorption of sugar.
So we don't get those same blood sugar spikes.
Right. And fruit is also packed with vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants.
So it's definitely a healthy choice.
Definitely.
So if we're trying to manage our weight or improve our health, should we be including carbs in our diet?
Yes, absolutely.
But the key is to choose the right kinds of carbs.
Right.
We want to focus on those complex carbs,
The ones that are rich in fiber and nutrients.
like fruits, vegetables, whole grain.
Exactly. Those are the carbs that will give us sustained energy
Yeah.
and help us to feel our best.
So to wrap things up, it sounds like carbs aren't necessarily the enemy.
No, they're not.
It's all about making informed choices.
Yeah.
And understanding the difference between refined carbs and complex carbs,
Right. We want to choose those nutrient-rich, high-fiber
and
options.
enjoy them as part of a balanced and delicious diet. Great advice.
Yeah.
And for those interested in exploring healthy weight loss solutions you can do from home, you can find a link in the description. Imagine if you could get rid of stubborn fat and support weight loss in a simple and healthy way while you are at home. You can find out by visiting https://rebrand.lifesolution-weightloss or by clicking on the link in the description of this podcast. But even more importantly, considering everything we've discussed today, how might you approach carbs differently in your own diet? That's something to think about. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive. We'll see you next time.
Bye.